Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Friday, February 23rd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will still be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, NVDA, NVIDIA, maybe you've heard of them, had earnings, and this thing just blasted away today. And is now starting to form a interesting situation because, yeah, I had a big, strong day, but then spent pretty much almost the entire day after that opening hour just kind of grinding, going sideways, not doing a whole lot. But in doing so, has created a couple of key technical levels that you got to think a lot of people are watching. And when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can certainly produce some dynamic movements. And that's right where 782 comes into play. It's not the exact level, but generally speaking, right around there is very clearly where the sellers have shown up, and that's going to be the key battleground to watch moving forward if NVIDIA is going to continue in this overall uptrend that it's been in. As far as areas of support, so if you like to play pullbacks, offer up a little bit more context here just so you can see that it is at new highs. But for a more of an aggressive pullback area, I would think down here, and I think that's very reasonable that the price could, very realistically go down and revisit 745-ish area before there's any sort of return back upwards. But even if it were to do that, which seems like a big pullback from where it is right now, like I said, from the grand scheme of things, as you can see here, that would literally just be a back test of this former breakout area where it comes down there and then potentially tries to turn itself back around. So those will definitely be the main dynamics moving forward. But in the near term and right now, all eyes on 782. Next one, MNPR, and overall, the level that you got to think a lot of people have drawn, because there's nothing fancy about this at all, so please don't make it, I don't want to come across like this is some sort of great discovery or special talent. The exact opposite. A lot of people have drawn that trend line, and when you have a lot of people watching the same trend lines and wondering the same things, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce movement. So while no guarantees, is it valid to think that if the price comes up there and then gets the break, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a more than plausible conclusion. As far as areas of support are concerned, main battleground to watch from a support standpoint going to be that purple line there, 50-period simple moving average, keyword being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher. So in some senses, you essentially have just one big symmetrical triangle. So there's our resistance, there is our support. So if you want to look at it that way, and now space is running out, so that's where the question mark comes into play. Who is ultimately going to win out? Are the bears going to win out with a break to the downside, or the bull is going to win with a break to the upside? That'll be the big question mark moving forward. But all things considered, definitely a nice dynamic pattern in terms of some well-defined levels. So we'll see how this closes out the week on Friday. Next one, AMD, and very, very impressive movement today. Not necessarily because it was a green day per se, but when you looked here at the levels of resistance that I'd drawn previously, broke through both of them. So always good from the technical side of things when levels of resistance are being broken, of course, assuming you're bullish. First update, though, is just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So ideally speaking, meaning, what make this chart look the strongest moving forward, that would be if 179 can hold. But, if the price drops below 179, that does not mean the entire chart's destroyed or ruined or anything like that, because as we just talked about, that 50-period moving average, as it continues to move higher and higher, just watch that, and as long as the price stays above that purple line, then as far as I'm concerned, the overall chart is still completely healthy. But yeah, as far as what would make it look the absolute strongest, staying above 179 would accomplish that. In terms of levels of resistance, nothing fancy here, just a question of where do the price find a problem, and you can see right up there at that 180, let's just call it 184 to make it easier. 184 has been that problem point, so keep an eye on that. But all things considered, very, very impressive day here for AMD. Next one, SOXS, and this has just been an absolute, how quickly things can turn. Just yesterday when I was doing the video, we were talking about that 485 level, and hey, the price is up here. Granted, that last 30 minutes ultimately served to be the leading indicator, how, okay, that wasn't the greatest thing, but still, the price was at least within the general vicinity of potentially breaking that key area of resistance. But then today, massive gap down, and the crazy thing about the gap down, I'm just going to move this down, is not only did it return back to where it was, so you can see here, this is where the price was couple times before the big move up, but it has gone back to where it was and then even lower. So absolutely destruction today as far as a price is concerned. So in terms of areas of resistance, that $4.10 mark will be the main battleground if the price does try to turn around. In terms of areas of support, and nothing fancy here at all, literally just a question of, okay, well, where did the bleeding finally stop today? And that was down there at $3.90. So no fancy reasoning behind that other than, that right there. That's just where it finally stopped bleeding. But this one can make nice bounces. It's done it several times before. And yeah, today was bloodshed, but you never know what can close out the week on Fridays, especially with relatively popular ticker symbols such as this one. Next one, AMC, and overall, the chart's hanging in there, but yeah, this has still been a pretty rough pullback, very rough day today. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that level up there, and I'll explain why I still hesitate, as I say. Overall, to be fair, technically speaking, it's hanging in there, but first update, just when levels of support are broken and closed below tend to act as resistance. So now if there is any sort of attempted bounce, then that 455 mark is going to be that main area of resistance. But the reason why I still call it that it's hanging in there, and this is also going to be a very important level of support moving forward, it's all about that pink line there, which on my chart represents the very well-known, the very famous 200 period moving average. And that's why it's famous, because check it out. Look at all this downward momentum. Essentially straight down. Then all of a sudden it got right down to that level and started to go sideways right above it. And that's what brings about the big question mark moving into Friday. Is this level going to continue to hold? If it does not hold as a support, then the next key level of support would be right there, down around $4.27. But yeah, so yes, big picture, it's hanging above that 200 period moving average, so you still have to give it the bulls some credit. But yeah, in the very near term, as far as the past few days are concerned, definitely looking like the bears are taking back over. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering very soon. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen, you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used, then definitely get signed up for the free webinar. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use to sign up. Or if you're watching at my website, there's an area right there on the page that you can use to sign up. And one special note, it is live. So if maybe you have something on your schedule already tonight, or if you're watching this Friday morning and you just completely missed it, go ahead, send me an email, clay@claytrader.com, and I'd be happy to email you a link to it so that you can see the replay of it. But if you can make it live, then definitely get signed up, and I'll see you here in just a few hours. Next one, RIVN, and absolutely demolished today with a big gap down. But this one is, I don't know if I'd say cult stock, but definitely very, very popular out there. And when very, very popular stocks get beat down, there can be some good solid snapbacks, which from a trading standpoint, sometimes that's all you need. And we have some leading indicators that maybe that's about to occur. Now, to set up the gap down here, and then after the gap down, kept dropping. But then all of a sudden, we got what makes this interesting headed into tomorrow is now you got a couple of small higher lows. Now, I wish I could say trading was this easy, but just because a really relatively popular stock gets beat down and then starts to put in some higher lows does not mean for sure guaranteed the selling pressure is done, and for sure guaranteed this thing is getting ready to make a bigger move back upwards. No guarantees, but is that at least plausible? Absolutely, and that's what we have here. That's what I personally find interesting, is beat down, now putting in some higher lows. So is this some sort of leading indicator of a bigger move to come over the next, not necessarily tomorrow on Friday, but maybe early next week? I think it's worth at least keeping an eye on, and that's what a watch is all about. Finding unique, finding interesting situations, not rushing out and randomly buying stuff, but watching it. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and this will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched the previous videos, but if you haven't, to update you quickly, been talking about that red line there as the main area of resistance at right around 198.75. And you can see that late day today there. In fact, let me just zoom in here a little bit more so you can see it better. There we go. You can see late day today, last 30 minutes, got up right around that general vicinity and did get rejected back down. But the good news is that assuming there's not some sort of massive gap down on Friday, the price, if it opens up right around here, is well within striking distance of that area, which brings about the exciting question is, okay, can the price get up there and break up through it? And if it does, then that could very realistically create another surge of momentum. And who knows, does Tesla push up to these highs up around here? Again, no guarantees, but it seems way more reasonable at that point. In terms of areas of support in the near-term level, as far as what would make the chart look the best and healthiest from a bullish standpoint, that would be staying above that 50-period moving average right there. But from an overall standpoint, as I've talked about in past ones, just watch that pink line right there, 200-period moving average, you can see right there. Absolutely classic example of that holding and acting as support. But very nice late-day movement here for Tesla. Not just a question of can it get the push up through 198.75 on Friday. Let's see. Next one, MARA, and overall, very nice bounce today. Now to offer up some context from the bigger picture, still an overall uptrend for sure, but there's also from, depending on, I guess, how you want to define this, maybe this is a medium term or longer term, So there has been this downwards channel. There's no doubt about that. But part of caring about the big picture of things is saying, okay, yeah, fair enough. If I care about the big picture of things, then sure, the past few days have been going down. But what was occurring before this, section of time? Well, there was this massive move up like that. And what have I now drawn? A bull flag pattern. So assuming you like to play big kind of overarching patterns, that's what I would say, the best way to approach MARA is that big picture bull flag pattern, which we have right here. Zooming back in though, as far as key technical levels, the level that it's really struggling with right now is all about that purple line there, 50 period moving average. You can see right there, just can't quite get any sort of continued momentum. If the price does roll back over though, the main area you're going to want to watch is that pink line there, which you now know is that 200 period moving average. Next, NVAX, and a very nice pattern here has formed with a very well-defined breakout point, which brings about that talking topic again of those self-fulfilling prophecies, or at least potential self-fulfilling prophecies. So right up there around the $5.10 mark, give or take a little bit, I would say very interesting level of resistance. And then as far as support standpoint is concerned, you have this over kind of arching level right there. Change that to support, and then to make the pattern, because this is, I wouldn't say the most easiest pattern to necessarily see. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have a nice upwards move there. For you golfers, let me put the golf hole down here. So we have what I would call a bull pennant pattern. And this is one that NVAX was very popular a few years ago. And still eyeballs, I think, watch it. But if this thing can come up here and get a break up through there is a lot of shorts out there on it. So the shorts, you got to think, are getting a little nervous. And you got to think there's probably some stop losses up around this area. So if the price can get a break, do those shorts start to cover? I think it's worth at least considering. And if you like this price range, down below $10, you like stocks with a lot of shorts on them, and you like bull pennant patterns, it meets a whole lot of those ingredients. Next one, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe the NASDAQ market as a whole is going to go up, then this will also go up. And funny thing is, I talked about this one yesterday, and I talked about, okay, nice. The big question here is this the start of something bigger? And yeah, it definitely was the start of something bigger. Always makes you wonder, did people know something? That's pure speculation on my part. But crazy how big, solid, strong move through the trend line, and then yeah, it was definitely the start of something bigger with a big gap up here. So I'll get rid of these levels down here as they've served their purpose for now. With the newest update coming based on that rule, and levels of resistance are broken, you want to see them act as support. And that would be that ideal level, which I've talked about several times now. That would definitely make the chart look the healthiest if the price can stay up above it. And then that purple line down there, you know the routine as it moves itself higher and higher. As long as it stays above that level, then that would definitely make it look the healthiest from just a general standpoint. But absolute most beast mode sense, staying above 59.40. In terms of areas of resistance, we are at all-time highs. So it's really as straightforward as, well, where was a high? Where did it struggle? And you can see right there at about $60.63. I mean, let's see, once, twice, three. So basically 4 times there, price got up there and just could not push through it. So clearly there's some sellers up there. That doesn't mean it can't be broken. I'm just saying that, has made itself very apparent as public enemy number 1 going into Friday. But all things considered, very, very nice move for the NASDAQ, and therefore this one today. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then definitely get signed up for the free live webinar. It'll be this evening, Thursday, February 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. But if you can't make it live for whatever reason, then as I talked about earlier, go ahead, drop me an email, clay@claytrader.com, and I'll be sure to send you a link to the replay. And as far as the top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do a couple things. Hit that like button, leave a comment below, say hi, tell me what you traded today, tell me your watch list for tomorrow. Those things help out the videos, and by default, help out the channel, and I appreciate it. So go get signed up for that free webinar or email me, and hopefully I'll be seeing you here in just a few hours.